Hi everyone, this is Killshot99 Gaming. This is Fear the Walking Dead, Season 5, Episode 9. This is our fan reaction video. Yes, Walking Dead is back. Before we get into tonight's stream, just want to give a quick special shout out to all of our Patreon army. You can see them up on the screen. Got a lot of good stuff to talk about tonight. Appreciate each and every one of you for staying up in between The Walking Dead and Talking Dead back on tonight. I'm pretty excited about tonight's episode. One thing that we always do with these reaction videos is we like to get your scores and, what you think of the episode. And then sometimes we'll change that dynamic a little bit. So I'm going to ask you right now from a scale of a 1 to a 10, tonight's episode, let's see your scores. I got a feeling that some of the viewers are going to... I got a feeling some people are going to rate it a little bit low. Drama King, what's up, Drama King? Says, Kills, good to be back, brother. Good to see you as well. Joey the Gator says 10. Julie says 3. I think we're going to get a lot of 6s and 7s. But I'm going to try to turn those 6s and 7s into a much higher score, and I'll tell you why. Donnie D-Train gives it a 6. You guys can see Wilson only gives it a 3. Tay only gives it a 3. Wilson, I'm going to give you a little bit of insight on something. I think I'm going to be able to turn that 3 into an 8, a solid 8. I'm going to give tonight's episode an 8.5. Yes, you guys are like, wait a minute, Kills. 2 or 3 of the episodes from the first half I had rated pretty low. Tonight, they had some things that I really, really liked. So we're going to start out by talking about, I'm not going to go step by step into everything because we'll do a complete breakdown in tomorrow night's video. This is just a reaction video. But I do want to, there was a theme tonight, and I'm going to give away a Kills coin if you guys can tell me there was an exact opposite theme, and the first person that can get it, I'm going to give a Kills coin. A Kills coin can be used for Freestyle Fridays. Moderators, check this out. Let's see if somebody gets it. You're going to have to be really, really creative and a deep dive for this one, not the tapes. The landmines, absolutely. Someone watching the tape, certainly. That's not it, though. Looking back, you know what? There were some positives, and the last 3 minutes was really, really good. I don't know if anybody's going to get this, and I caught this about halfway through. It was absolutely, Johnny. That's not what I'm talking about, though. I do like the I love the documentary. Valar says, hello, Kills, 999 Army, Steph, Emmy, Kel, Sweet Tommy, sponsors, patron, channel members, and, of course, all the super chatters. Watch your back. Not just that. Reflecting, Angel, be more specific. Yes, something reflecting, but you're going to have to go a little bit deeper than that. So we're going to give away 2 Kills coins. Drama King is back, and look at this. Actually, I'm going to give it to Drama King because he says Morgan remembered his own family. Yes, but there's a little bit more to it. So this was extremely ironic. Not the reflecting on each person, but who did Morgan lose? This was very, very deep, and I hope that they talk about it tonight. Morgan lost his wife and his son. Tess lost her husband. This is Morgan seeing what would have happened, what potentially could have happened if he would have been the one to die. And he's dealing with these demons, and it's getting closer and closer to saying goodbye to Dwayne and to his wife. So he's seeing the exact opposite of it's not, well, duh. This is actually Dark Star. This is pretty deep because it's not just the filming of it. It was how it could have played out differently. How it could have been if Morgan was the one going out saving his family, and what his family would have been experiencing and what his family could have been going through. A lot of times you wonder, and people say, well, what if it was me? What if it was somebody else? And when a zombie apocalypse, you don't get a chance to really break that down to that degree. And Morgan, with this video in a short period of time, is actually seeing that moment lived. And that's why. Why do you think Morgan was the first person to run across the landmines? He didn't care. Morgan was so attached to this, he wanted to make this right, that he ran absolutely across and risked his life. Amazing story within a story. I loved it. One thing that I found very interesting, and this is going to be the new way that we watch the show, is through a documentary. How many of you were okay with Luciana holding that camera, getting ready potentially to see Morgan blown into 1,000 pieces? That was a little bit creepy to me, and then I thought, wait a minute, if you're a war journalist or a reporter, that's what you have to do. So these guys have taken it a whole different level. They're not just reporting the news, they're reporting it and living it. It is like a real live war documentary. They have transitioned to, we still had some Fear the Walking Dead coincidence. We had, they do it all the time, right? The irony is that Tess's husband was the walker that attacked Alicia and just happened to have the inhaler in there. So certainly, they always kind of throw us that convenience story. And I do also like that they tried to answer a question that many of us were going to have. When Logan's team started shooting up the motorcycles, real quick, what's your first reaction? I want to know, what is the first thought that you had when they started shooting up this motorcycle? Rest in peace, bike. Mine was, boy, they sure are wasting a lot of bullets, right? I mean, they could have just kicked his bike over. Yeah, Wilson, exactly. That's what I'm thinking, like waste of ammo. And then Logan actually answers the question. He says, we got more ammo than we know what to do with. So the writers are taking another step forward in trying to make things a little bit more clear to us. It was certainly mean. But Logan tried to do a double cross. They made Logan walk. Do we finally have the beginning of a fear villain? What do you think? You guys think that Logan fits the bill? When they had him walking, the first thing I'm thinking is like, no. They didn't put him on for a couple episodes just to write him off the show. He's getting there. So they couldn't make him like all out evil, but he's definitely going to start to have some resentment. All right, I'm going to turn it over to you guys and just ask you really quickly, if you guys like the conversation, you like what we do me a favor, just hit the thumbs up button. Make sure you're here tomorrow night. We got random things on Tuesday night. Thursday night, we'll do our Fear Bold predictions. And Friday night, we got Freestyle Friday. A lot of good stuff still in store for the rest of the week. So I'm going to ask you guys, this is a reaction video. So if you had to pick one thing from tonight's episode that was the most shocking, most moving, most amazing part, then go ahead and type it right now, because I want to call on a few of you and get some of your comments included in this video. That's a great question, Wilson. How does Althea know about landmines? She's a reporter. She knows a little bit more. She did say it was 50-50. Well, Lonnie says the new characters, Dwight's haircut, landmines. She confirmed her military experience. Dwight smiling. Al confirming the war reporter. Absolutely. And Marcia, I missed that piece of it, so great call out. The time she spent in the military. So now we know a little bit more about Al's background as well. So we got another storyline coming out with Alicia. June Smith, real quick, says, again, reminds me of Crafty Negan. Althea is the bomb diggity. Hearing about Jenny and Dwayne brought back memories. Some good stuff. Yes. Gotcha. Logan. All right. Logan and Negan. The message on the tree. Good stuff. A lot of good stuff. I'm not going to try to totally change your mind. There's no way I could have rated this a 3. I thought it was a very solid episode. And I'll tell you another reason why I think it's good is because we are still shifting tenses. Now, we knew Morgan was going to live because Morgan is filming. So that was there was no drama there. There was no okay. But it was still, did you guys still feel a little bit, even though you knew Morgan was doing the interview, it still kind of gave you a little bit of sweaty palms, right? Julie says, someone better die soon. Well, the group is getting big enough that I do think someone is going to die fairly soon. Joey the Gator said Grace might die next week. So this is pretty interesting. Hopefully you guys caught this. Who's responsible in this episode? Who's responsible for the inventory? I'm going to ask you guys some trick questions here. There you go, right? 2 people responsible for the inventory are June and Grace. Now, in the video that we saw, nope, Wilani, there is no Samora yet. In tonight's episode, June and Grace. But in the video we saw of Samora said that June gave her the responsibility of inventory. So, sounds to me like Grace might have been replaced somewhere along the line. We know she's a ticking time bomb, but it does look like Grace initially had the responsibility, and then Samora might be taking over that role after Grace is gone away. June Smith says, bring on The Walking Dead, 2 months to go. Absolutely, June. Looking forward to that. I don't want to go through all of the notes. I got about 4.5 pages of notes. And a lot of it is the landmine scene, how they tie that into Morgan's personal story. Also, something that was interesting, give me 1 second because I want to go through this, is the fact that Tess could never leave her house. And June said something interesting. This is what happens when you stay in one place for too long. So I think that adds a little bit more to the, Traveling Wilbury story, that they're just going to be kind of all over the place. We already talked about the documentary to a certain degree. What do you guys think about the camera angles? It was neat to see the guy at the very end watching it. I mean, we knew they were being watched. So how many of these are going to be planted in different places? So this doesn't look like the only time it's going to happen, because we still got to see Clark's story being watched, and we got to see Jody's story being watched, so on and so forth. Grimes on the radio liked it. Kel loved the filming. I do too. Last season, it was a little bit of color in black and white, and here you can see a little bit of that kind of faded green in the video and in the fast forwarding of the video as well. Brian, I did not, I'll have to go through and watch it again. But Brian said, where's Annie, Max, Dylan, and the other kids? I mean, I didn't go down to see the whole noodle scene at the end and who all was there. I didn't recognize them being there as well. I guess, yeah, Julia says they are somewhere with Wendell. Sarah did mention that, right? Yeah, she mentioned that when she was driving, that Wendell's watching the kids. June Smith, super chatting, says, so maybe Rick will come across a tape somewhere. June, we're going to have to break that down. I mean, I guess it is possible at some point if Rick were to escape. You never know who's liable to come across these tapes. I mean, it sets up a whole different storyline. Right, Marcia? Get the funnel out. Absolutely. I agree, Leanne. If it'd be cool if Althea goes to Rick. So some of you that scored tonight's episode really low, like I said, this is our live fan reactions. We want to get the good, the bad, as many comments as we can in this video. And keep in mind, if I don't get a chance to read your comment, they are on screen, so people watching the playback will get a chance to check those out as well. Just one more time, if you guys love The Walking Dead, if you like what we do, if you're here every single night, do me a favor, just slap that like button, hang out with us all week long. We'll come up with theories, we'll come up with predictions. We do a lot of different things, and then we do some things that are totally un-Walking Dead related as well. So if you're brand new, first time watching, subscribe and just check us out. So those of you that scored tonight's episode a little bit lower, and by lower I mean if you scored it below a 7, anybody that scored it below a 7, give me your major the major hang-up or the major deal with tonight's episode. What was it that you didn't like about it? Anything below a 7. I just want to get a couple ideas in here. The reason I rated it 8.5, in addition to the other things that we talked about, is I think it's a good setup. I don't think it's a filler episode. I think it's a good setup for the next few episodes, laying the groundwork for it. Some people said a little bit slow, and that's why, Amy, that's why I kind of watched it in that regard, is they didn't come out guns blazing. They're not fighting anybody yet. They are taking the time to set up, but, you know, I always feel like, I thought this, well, I know it might be blasphemy. Last season, if you guys remember, I went on record of saying the Whisper arc was very slow. But every week that they didn't kill somebody, we kept saying, like, wait a minute, the longer they wait, something major is going to happen. I mean, it did take a couple episodes of The Whispers to really lay the groundwork. So if Logan and this group and whoever else they've got working with them, even if they report to somebody else, you never know. I mean, if they are holding back a little bit and they ramp it up by the end of the season, it could be worth it. But I do feel like the story is coming together. Now that they flew the plane and got over the mountain and all the other stuff they left behind, we can also see the value of the plane. So on a completely different note, and then we'll start to wind it down. Remember, these are just reaction videos. They're not super long videos. We got about 3 or 4 more minutes. Do you think that Fear the Walking Dead deals a little too much with kind of like the moral of the story? They did it with the prince. They did it with, are they trying to tell too much story and too much coincidence and too much karma, I guess? Because when I embrace that, I actually like it. I don't love the speeches, Leanne. But kind of like I said with Morgan and then the other family, what I feel like Fear the Walking Dead does is it's very deep. And when something happens, you almost have to backtrack 3 or 4 episodes and appreciate what happened 3 or 4 episodes earlier. And it's very difficult. And I'll give you an example. So, the hot air balloon. Right? I wasn't a fan of the hot air balloon and the propellers. And the plane being used to chop up all the walkers. But it's almost like a moral leads to a moral, leads to another moral, leads to another moral. Here's the point. Daniel was in trouble, and the plane chopped up all the walkers, and Strand had to go help Daniel, and that was the moment where they forgave each other. But the plane is in ruins. So now they have to find a way to fix the plane, get the plane ready to go. So they all sort of band together, and it becomes this mission. And they're going to do it. It's like it feels good, right? And you got this feel-good story. So they fly the plane over, and when they land the plane, that plane flying, people hearing it, is what's propelled, pun fully intended, it's propelled the story into the second half. So all the people they're meeting and that they have join them is because they fixed the plane. So you almost have to go back and say, wow, now all that work, all that stuff they put in that maybe seemed a little tiring and a little bit boring, there's a meaning to it. So I do think they're going to continue to do this, and we could probably even follow back further than that. But there's a lot of morals to the story and a lot of it's very modular, I guess is the way that I would say it. It is. It's emotional and very quirky at times. And we keep saying this. We keep saying along the lines of, well, maybe they're finally going to get a villain. They're finally going to get a villain. But Logan still looked a little goofy tonight. I mean, he didn't look hardcore. So it may be a tough transition for Logan to become that. I think we're hungry for a Simon or for a Negan or for a Governor. And maybe we never get it on Fear the Walking Dead. Could be that the good guys just always are going to be good and prevail on Fear the Walking Dead. And they're going to have so many people. They're going to have literally a convoy. I mean, they've got gasoline for days. They got more vehicles. They may end up with hundreds of people. Maybe they take over the Commonwealth. Who knows? This caravan is going to keep growing and growing and growing. All right, everybody. Hey, this is our reaction video. If you're watching the playback, just get your thoughts, get your comments, all your comments included in this. Think it over. We're going to break this down a little bit further. I know some of you guys are going to watch Talking Dead. The one thing I will say is every time there's a Talking Dead, the people that have a show rated a 4 or 5, they always pick up something and it becomes a 7 or 8. We try to sort of beat them to the punch a little bit. So be here tomorrow night at 9:30. If you get a chance, if you watch it more than once, how many people have already watched the episode more than one time? Just a real quick show of hands. Just kind of curious. Who saw it maybe Friday and then watched it again tonight? A few. One is good. So I'm gonna say again, if you watch it more than once and you give it a 4 or 5, okay. Maybe, hopefully your score goes up after you watch it a couple times. But I do think that next week's episode looked really good. So let me ask you guys, since we're not doing the countdowns on Sunday night, based on the preview, real all too early numbers from a 1 to a 10, what do you guys think just from a couple minutes of the preview that we've seen so far next week? Next week looks like it has a lot of action. Logan's group's coming back. We're getting people fighting people for a change. All right, well, we got some optimists in here already. We already have some 9s. Yeah, I got a feeling maybe Grace. We're going to lose somebody next week. And we'll get that in our bold predictions. All right, everybody. I'll see everybody here at 9:30 tomorrow night. Check out Talking Dead tonight. Do a little bit more homework, and then we'll break down. See if there's some things that we didn't talk about tonight that you picked up on that we can discuss tomorrow, like Althea being a war reporter. Good stuff, everybody. I'll talk to you tomorrow night at 9:30. Have a good night. Peace.